I think I like the Dijon more so than the ketchup on it. I thought I'd like the ketchup better. I haven't had a corn dog in forever. I wonder if I could have the corn dog without the corn part. Is that bad? Is that clickbait? See, I'm having corn dogs and then I do this. At least I've included my Christmas Elvis mug and my Christmas Santa Claus hat. You could have guessed this was coming. Yes, I have a corn dog story time. Oops. There. I never know if you're gonna see the correct spelling of my words. Sometimes they come up backwards. Okay. I can only remember 2 corn dog incidents. I'll tell you the recent one. The most recent one first, because it was a corn dog fail. And somehow I got the impression that the grandkids were crazy about corn dogs. So one year, a couple years ago, preparing for their visit, and I got like the biggest corn dog box you could find from Costco. 20, 30 some corn dogs, right? So every once in a while, my other daughter would say, when are we gonna have some corn dogs? When are we have some corn dogs? Because there were so many, and I kept saying, we're waiting for the grandkids, we're waiting for the grandkids. And she said, yeah, but there's so many in there. We're never gonna eat them in one night. And so as it turned out, when they did arrive, it was such a fail. Like, nobody was excited about the corn dogs. He kind of looked at me funny. I said, are we going to have fun tonight? It's corn dog night. No response, no excitement from neither the grandkids nor my daughters. And so that package of corn dogs, I think, stayed in the freezer forever. I may have had one or two, but they ended up getting tossed. They had been frozen for so long, way past the date for them to stay fresh. So that was a huge fail. But the reason why I thought they would get excited about corn night is because when they were in grammar school, we had a friend in my daughter's class. The younger daughter, they were just one grade apart, so kind of all the kids knew everybody. And she wanted to invite my kids to corn dog night. And I thought it was something going on at the school that I missed out on and completely missed the memo. What comes to find out, it was a kids thing once a week. It was like a little faith-based get-together. And so I asked her mom, I said, corn dog night, why do they call it corn dog night? And she said, once a year, to kick off, the start of the new year. And it's combined faith-based with athletic sports and relay and all these physical things that you actually compete against other cities. But they call it corn dog night. And so of course I bludgeoned her with questions. And it seemed okay for the kids to go, and they had a wonderful time for corn dog night. So to this day, that's my memory of corn dog night and how angry I was. I was such a hot-tempered whippersnapper back in the day, and I've said this before, so I'll say it again. How I'm so grateful we're allowed to grow old gracefully. It gives us a chance to look back at our younger self. When we thought we were all that, we thought we knew it all, and we really didn't. And so when I think of corn dog night, I remember how angry I was that it was a faith-based event, and they were going around asking everybody, trying to, reel them in with corn dogs. And I don't know how many parents were as persnickety as I was, asking all the questions. But normally, if your friend would invite you to corn dog night, he would just think it was, just corn dog night. So I bludgeoned her with questions, let him go, but still was angry that they were trying to sell a faith-based event with corn dogs. And so as I look back upon it, the sports side of it, and then the faith side of it was really a good balance for my kids. So that's the extent, the memories I have with corn dogs in my life. And for those of us in need of a special gluten-free corn dog, here it is. Got this from Sprouts. Came 4 in a pack. So, that being said, look what Wendy has for us. Wendy's coupons and I think this is Subway. And is corn dog a big thing, like at sports games, or the carnival or the fair, like a circus? I think is what I think of corn dog. But I've really gotten to the point with gluten creating health issues at this point. So I kind of had I didn't have a strict gluten-free regimen, and the more I'm finding out, let me move this over here, the more I'm finding out gluten does something to your nerves long term. I don't know what it is exactly, but it has something to do with do our nerves have like a protective shield around them, or protective something? And that can be pretty serious, right? And it's making me think of all these people. For many years we hear neuropathy. All these people with some kind of neuropathy based on diabetes or whatever they have. And I'm wondering why they aren't mentioning gluten sensitivity. I do know that your everyday doctor doesn't have a test. I'm not sure if it's a stool test or a blood test for gluten. I got got it from my functional medicine doctor. I didn't ask for it. It was just part of it, one of the tests I had taken. And this was possibly 5 years ago now. And I said, interesting, because I knew sometimes I would eat food and I wouldn't feel my best after I ate it. So, well, actually, I asked her, is there a pill? How do you get rid of it? And she said, no, you just have to stop eating it completely. I couldn't believe that. Like, with all the things. Subway. All the things we can do. Go to the moon, the whole 9 yards, and there's no fix for gluten intolerance or I do believe celiac disease is bad. I don't have that. I just have an intolerance for gluten. But I guess I should be grateful. I don't have celiac disease, but it's very destructive. And so, about 5 years ago or so, I tested out this gluten theory and realized that I do feel better when I don't eat gluten. When I do eat gluten, I've got pain everywhere, and I just feel terrible all over. And the reason I'm even talking about it now, I know holidays are coming, and I know we're going to be eating more foods than normal. I've already started. Look at me all week, the things I've been eating. Unbelievable. And if you've been teetering about upset, back and forth, there's times you feel good and times you don't feel good, this would be a good time to just carry around a little notebook and write down everything you eat when you eat it. And if you just aren't yourself after you eat, and you eat that food again and again, you don't feel well, it's somewhat simple to pinpoint what foods made you feel bad and then investigate the ingredients and see if it's got gluten in it, wheat, dairy, and or egg. That's a first simple, easy, good start. And of course, there's way more allergies. There's soy and nuts. But I would start there. And do not take it lightly. I did not take my husband's dairy allergy lightly at all. But it goes beyond sniffling and sneezing and itchy skin. He was in the bathroom quite often and tummy upset And so somehow that allergy affects your intestines and your tummy and your whole digestive system. I don't know how. And I think even one time he had so much milk on a day-to-day basis. I think he was having trouble breathing. And so when I noticed that, we pretty much abruptly got off the milk and switched to almond milk, and it's never happened since. But for any of us who our whole life allergy was never an issue, I realized I did not respond properly to allergy side effects. I think in my mind I kept thinking, okay, so there's an allergy. I know there's an allergy pill to take care of it, but it goes way, way deeper than that. So back to the neuropathy and gluten. We don't know how much gluten we're getting each day. And I think what happens is our body can only take so much overload. I think that's what happened to me, because when I asked about gluten sensitivity, what are you talking about? And I never really got a good answer, like why do I have it, but I don't have celiac disease? Is it something you inherit? Does everybody in your family get it? And I'm going to guess for my situation, it was an overload on breads and pastas and noodles and my whole life. And then my system just somehow couldn't handle it. It has to do with some kind of protein. It's involved in some kind of protein. So, but when you have an allergy and then you keep ingesting the food, when you have a food allergy and then you just take like an allergy pill, you're still doing the damage. And I'm still learning about gluten, but what I've noticed is it impairs your nerves, and then because of the gluten impairing your nerves, maybe that's how people get that neuropathy that they say comes from diabetes, or it can maybe come from many different illnesses. But your whole body is functioning with nerves, right? You need nerves for so many things. So when I started reading that, and I realized, oh my goodness, I think my toes every once in a while do feel numb. It's not like it's a debilitating issue, but I think it's something that has crept up recently. And oh my goodness, I think my tongue does feel a little numb. Come to think of it, it seems like every other day, a certain part of the day, it feels like my tip of my tongue is numb. So I think I need to quit. You know, I need to get off the fence thinking, oh, I can have a little bit of gluten. Oh, I'm sure this doesn't have gluten in it. One of my most favorite foods, you know, those California rolls I love. I asked my daughter to check the ingredients. In fact, I mentioned this earlier, I made her go through all my supplements and make sure that it said gluten-free. And I was shocked when she was showing me the list of ingredients on the California rolls. There must have been, ingredients list was this long in teeny tiny print on the label, and she saw wheat starch. I said, okay. So we investigated wheat starch only to find that it's iffy. Wheat starch supposedly doesn't have gluten, but it could have gluten. So if on the label it doesn't say gluten-free, they said not to eat it. So I think I'm at that point now that I cannot put a food item in my mouth unless for sure it says gluten-free. What else? I might feel more itchy than normal. I think the gluten is the cause of that. So I'm going to further investigate and ask the doctor. And they have like gluten watchdog websites. I'm sure they could, you could find one for dairy and whatever you think your allergy might be. But maybe for Christmas, I don't know how you do gift giving at Christmas, or if you have the insurance that could even help pay for an allergy test. In fact, I'm trying to get in to go and take an allergy test eventually, just to rule out that there's nothing else going on with my allergies, that it really is just the gluten. And a ton of people, the other thing my doctor keeps asking me is mold. I don't think that's a problem here. I don't know why she keeps talking about mold. Only that she said during COVID, when everybody was stuck in the house, more and more people were sick with different levels of toxicity. So I'm gonna go and take that test. I want to go to the allergist for an allergy test, and I want to take the vitamin and mineral test, and I want to take the toxicity test. So there's 3 different ones: allergy, toxicity, and vitamin and minerals. And it does cost extra. So maybe for Christmas, if you're not feeling well and you can't figure out what's wrong, there could be a possibility there's an allergy somewhere in there. And another good thing to notice is sniffling and runny nose after you eat something. I would hope more mukbang people would understand this, that if you're planning to do a food video, you really need to have your allergy under control. So many food eating channels, I think, are just so focused on the food, they don't realize that they're sneezing and they're sniffling in a video. Isn't that much fun for us? But I'm guessing they've been that way their whole life and they don't realize it. I think that's what happened with my husband. I think he had sneezing issues and sniffling issues his whole life. He didn't notice it until he married me. And it's kind of funny because I don't have, well, until my gluten issue a few years ago, I didn't do any of that. The sniffling, the coughing, the sneezing, all that. And I think that was one of our first arguments, is why didn't he? Oh my goodness, here's another Angela whippersnapper story when I thought I knew it all, right? My dad always had a handkerchief in his back pocket. All my uncles did. Everybody, all the guys had handkerchiefs. We called them hankies. They all did. And when I realized that was no part of my husband's life, I was shocked. And when he would sniffle and sneeze, and I'd say, "Where's your hanky?" And he didn't have one or doesn't carry one. I was so upset. I said, everybody has to have Kleenex, or you guys have handkerchiefs. Us ladies have Kleenex in our purse. I didn't know life any other way. And he thought I was just, I couldn't understand why I made a big deal about that. But I felt I had to, because he was always sniffling and sneezing. I felt he really did need to have a handkerchief. And it got to be that when we left, we were going to an event, I made sure I had Kleenex in my purse, but more so I made sure he had them. I even bought handkerchiefs, different ones, in hopes that he would gravitate towards them. Style of handkerchief and keep it in his pocket, and he never did. And I kept telling him, I said, you don't want to be in public and start sniffling and sneezing without a hanky. And he looked at me. Oh my goodness. Isn't that terrible? No. So I tell you that to tell you this, to not ignore your symptoms. Of course, for yourself first, but if you go on with an allergy untreated for years and years, and it goes deeper and starts affecting your intestines and your gut and your nerves like gluten does, you're setting yourself up for disease and illness as you age. Then what kind of burden are you putting upon your loved ones if they need to help take care of you? That's how I think of it. So that's your Christmas gift to yourself this year, to start off with a little food journal, writing down everything you eat and drink, and put down the time next to the item that you eat or drink, the date, time, and if you don't feel well after, make notes of that. I'm sure there's bigger and worse problems in the health world, but since gluten sensitivity with me and dairy and egg allergy with my husband, it's been our life, and I've seen what happens with years of ignoring it. It's not worth it. Probably the worst. I think I have these little vertigo events because of my gluten. In fact, I'm almost sure of it now, because, like I said, the gluten gets in your blood and somehow it affects your nerves. So I think when I have gluten, it's not an immediate reaction, but 12 to 24 hours later, it seems like I have a dizzy spell. And the dizzy spells seem to get a little worse each time. And I have to sit down. They used to be just dizzy spells. Now I get down and now I sit down and I realize I have to close my eyes as it gets blurry. So that's terrible, to have a vertigo event and you can't see straight, your eyes are blurry. That's terrible. So I made I didn't tell you this part. Back when I was talking about the California rolls and the wheat starch in there. And then, do you remember me mentioning to you that sourdough bread didn't have gluten in it? What a lie that was. How did I ever come to believe that sourdough bread did not have wheat in it? Bigger than beans, that's like the first item listed in the ingredients. I told my daughter she has to hide 2 items from me. Those delicious French butter cookies. Remember one day I was doing a cookie video, coffee and cookies, and it was a French, like a sugar cookie or a butter cookie from Costco. Total wheat. Sourdough. Total wheat. Oh, and I also have the top ramen. I have 6 or 12 top ramen noodle packs. Total wheat. And I love all 3 of those things. I could eat them like there's no tomorrow. Told her she had to hide them. That's terrible. So those 3 items are hidden. But in all honesty, the vertigo and the vision issue is so frightening for me that it may be easier for me to stop the gluten than I think. But how immature is that? To have to wait till I'm physically debilitated to stop eating the gluten. Terrible. And then if you also have the blood pressure monitor machine and the oximeter machine, that's why I always mention for us to take our blood pressure morning, noon, and night. Because we could have skyrocketed blood pressure and we'd never know it. But for me, I've noticed when I've eaten gluten, my blood pressure is higher. I don't normally have high blood pressure. It's normally very low. But for my blood pressure to be in the 130s or 140s, that's like over the top high for me. I'm usually in the teens or in the low 20s. But I purposely take odorless garlic gel tabs. If any of you are concerned about high blood pressure, of course, talk to your doctor. But garlic helps to treat high blood pressure. But I'm not a medical professional, so can't talk with your doctor. But if you're not on blood pressure medication and you're somewhat worried, that might be a good start for you. And I take like a garlic gel tab 2 or 3 times a day. So if you start off in the morning with great blood pressure and then throughout the day as you eat, it gets worse, and you've kept your food diary journal, that may be a sign of an allergy, food allergy.